Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and I just saw The Falcon and the Winter Soldier's first episode. And guys, I wanted to record my reaction immediately following the episode. I saw this a couple days ago. I had to post it today, though, because that's the embargo date. But guys, I wanted to react immediately because I loved it. I'm on a high again, of a Marvel high of like, yes, that's what I've wanted. After this drought of Marvel stuff, this is what I wanted. This is exactly what I think many Marvel fans were hoping for and expecting out of the first Marvel TV show. And I think it maybe was unfair that they put WandaVision first. They clearly needed to from a content perspective because apparently this show wasn't yet completed. But guys, if you were hesitant to sign up for this show because of WandaVision, I implore you, give this pilot a chance. It is everything I hoped the Marvel TV shows would be. And it got me invested in both of these characters already through the first episode than I really have been the whole time. I mean, I've liked these characters, don't get me wrong, but in this episode, it really does give you some emotional heft of just like what these characters have been through since the blip. What's really fascinating is this show, and I'm not going to spoil anything. I don't want to get into a lot of plot points. I'm going to save you the surprises, so don't be afraid. But what I will say is that the show feels like a movie. This one totally feels like a movie. But the show takes place post-blip, post-Captain America handing Sam the shield. And so this is these are the events that we really wanted to see. Like, well, now what? What's going to happen? And so will Sam take the shield? Does he want it? Is he going to become Captain America? What's up with Bucky? Does he have, now that he's been the White Wolf and dealt with Wakanda, what's the ramifications of now sort of freeing his mind? Can he free his mind? What all the stuff he's done as the Winter Soldier is clearly going to affect him through the show as these two people sort of are going to hit a down and try to climb back up is really what this seemingly is going to be about. And they're going to do it under the banner of Marvel and all these sort of supporting characters that are going to come in and out of the show. Worldly stakes where they get to travel around and do these amazing action sequences and fight sequences. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I was already engrossed in by episode 1. Now, look, I don't want to just make this about a comparison. People are going to compare it. It's hard to not compare it since we just got out of WandaVision. But I'll tell you, those first two episodes of WandaVision were more, to me, creative gimmick than, character buildup. That's always been my problem with them. And I look, for those of you who connected to the show and liked the show, great. I just wish I had been more connected. I didn't hate it going in. I was like, all right, this is interesting. This is different. But this show is exactly what you'd expect it to be. It's a immediate follow-up of what's happening after the events of Endgame. Where are these characters now? It starts with an amazing action sequence right out the gate that felt like a Marvel movie scene. It really, the budget on this was so high, seemingly, that I felt like I was watching a Marvel movie. It felt like it was like parts of Winter Soldier were happening and unfolding in front of us. But then they pause and they give us more insight on both Sam and James, Bucky, on sort of what's going on in their world right now since everything's happened. Now what? Now what do they do? How do they get beyond what they've done? That's what I really want. It's not, the action is great, but what really got me in this episode was the character stuff of seeing the struggles that these two are going through currently. Hit me harder than anything in WandaVision did, to be perfectly honest. Right at the gate, I feel like I'm more emotionally invested and engrossed than I was. Now, by the end of WandaVision, it sort of got there. And again, I'm not trying to just crap on that. I know it's not, this isn't a review of WandaVision, but it's just, I feel a high again, and I want to make sure others out there feel it. Don't put this one off just because if you didn't like WandaVision. If you loved WandaVision, you're going to love this one too, I suspect. Because it's going to be, it's just Marvel fans and people who found the characters there engrossing. I can only imagine you're going to find this is even just as engrossing, if not more engrossing. So how do I talk about this without spoiling? Because I don't want to give up any plot points. What I will say is this. Make sure you've gone and you've watched the Marvel Legends. Now, these are like recap shows that they did it for Wanda and they did it for Vision before WandaVision dropped. And now they've just done it for Falcon, Winter Soldier, Zemo, and Sharon Carter. So you got 4, they're all like 5 for 5, depending. Bucky gets the longest one. But, 5 to 8 minutes. And they give you these amazing sort of previously in the MCU. It's these wonderful montages that, bravo to the editors over there at Marvel Legends. They put together these amazing montages to sort of remind you of all the stuff these characters have been through. And rather rather than focus on the plot points of what what happens in this episode, because I want to keep the surprises for you, I implore you, go through these, because these will help lift it back up. And to be fair, I did this for Wanda and Vision. I did it before I watched that, and it helped. I was like, oh wow. But then when they're stuck in the sitcom, you don't know what's going. It didn't build the emotional to me. And that's always been my problem with that show. Is it was a slow build, and then the stakes finally kick up at the end, and you're either in or you're out. And I was at that point, I wasn't as in, because they stretched it out for me. I didn't connect to it. In this show, however, they really get you engrossed in these characters right out the bat. And if you watch these, you'll remember how much they've been through. It's obvious. It's like, duh, Andy, but they do such a good job of sort of pulling out every little moment, putting it in order, and you realize, wow, they really did give these characters a lot of stuff to do in the little, in the big ensemble movies that they've been a part of. And so when you watch these recaps, I implore you, if you want to get into the show, go watch the recaps. They're wonderfully edited, and they're not repetitive. I thought they would sort of be like, well, you got to show the same things, but they wisely, knowing that they were doing 4 stories here, 4 recaps rather, they sort of just really focus on the Falcon part, and then Steve's part with him, and then Winter Soldier, and then the backstory is focused there, and then Zemo and his and with Black Panther and everything, and then Sharon Carter. They managed to sort of spread it all out into 4 really smart, short chapters that if you're a Marvel fan, you're going to love the replay, and it's really well edited, but it also just reminds you of sort of everything that you need to know going into this series. But I also would argue, I don't know if you really need to know too much more. This is feels like a high-budget action procedural. Clearly is what this is going to become, but episodes connect. It's not like a one-off mystery every episode. But I do feel like I could bring someone into the MCU with this show, and they would be okay. Like, the show really does sort of do a lot of the explaining to you cleverly through the writing and through the plot to sort of remind people, like, okay, this is what these 2 people have been up to. They're Avengers, and now they're sort of grasping what to do in this new world. I think it would have been hard to introduce someone to WandaVision. However, I think this one, which again was always supposed to be the first show that Marvel released, for good reason, I think, really will help people connect to it. Now, the one thing I will say, I guess, I don't think it's a spoiler, but the 2 don't meet in the first episode. And I was okay with that. So there's they wisely figure out a way to give you enough of the backstory to sort of clearly save how they're going to unite. And the next or third, who knows? Didn't mind that they weren't together. You really get to focus on them separately. And this has been all over the trailer, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything. But this therapist character is in the episode, and I love the scenes with her. I love the idea that they're going to bring her back and sort of make her a reoccurring piece, because it is such a clever use of a character, the therapist, which TV shows have done a lot. Sopranos made a whole big deal of it. And apparently this, the showrunner, Malcolm, somebody who made this, had worked on some sort of behind the scenes of Sopranos. He's clearly a fan of Sopranos because he's bringing in a lot of those sort of moments that Tony had, with his therapist, with Melfi. Like in this, like imagine that in a Marvel world with like Bucky sitting there talking to a therapist. Well, what's that mean? And then having that sort of back and forth rapport. It's really clever and a smart use of taking a TV trope and cliche sort of and throwing it into this world. And to know that she's going to come meet them both, I'm actually very excited about that. I'm like, oh, this is going to get good. And they've sort of teased on sort of the jokey parts of it in the trailer, but don't be fooled by the jokey parts. There is some heft behind this show. There's some grief. There's some stuff they got to both get through, and we get to learn more about Sam's backstory, his family, obviously the demons that Bucky's been dealing with. It's a lot of really good stuff right out the gate. You're like, yes, please. I want to learn more about this. I want to be engrossed in this storyline. So again, cannot wait to see more of this. I hope they don't let us down, but I feel confident in the way that this show has gone, the length, the action, with where they left it off and what's going to happen next. There's clearly a long story here that they've just split up into parts rather than a tease and just kidding. But wait, he's really his name is actually this. No, this feels like a properly written, engrossing character drama. For those that didn't feel like they got that in WandaVision, get excited for this one. In fact, if it's as good as it is, I'm going to keep posting these whether you watch them or not, because this might make me a Marvel fanboy again. I might finally be like, yes, all right, Marvel, you're bringing me back in. So I don't mean to overhype it, which it sounds like I might have just did. But get excited, because I think there's a lot of you. I know it's not everybody, but I think there were a lot of people who were sort of like, I don't know if I want to give. WandaVision left a bad taste in my mouth. I just was not that impressed. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, whoo! I wish they would have started here. It would have been worth the wait. Paused it, even if they'd given. I guess it's only 6 or it's smaller amount of episodes, and I guess they just weren't finished. But I think a mistake on their part to not have it out right away. But that said, if it's as good and keeps going, it won't matter. People will come watch this at some point later. And this will be the one I think more people recommend to start going into if you want to get back into the MCU and this new phase of where things are going. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is your entry point. So there you go, guys. I highly encourage it. In fact, subscribe here. Tell me if you want, if this does well and you guys want to see more, and me finally being positive about something, smash the like button and the subscribe button, as well as leave a comment down below and let me tell me your thoughts. Were you excited? Are you more excited? What are your feelings on this show before you get to see it tonight or tomorrow? I think it drops tonight at midnight Eastern time, 3 in the morning Eastern, 12 Pacific. Or are you gonna watch it tomorrow? Implore you, tell me what you think down below in the comments, and thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on Popcorned Planet.